Now, coming up, after a small boat migrant arrives at Dover with stab wounds, have we imported foreign criminals to the UK? But first, I speak to the victim who had his thumb bitten clean off by a Deliveroo rider. It was just 10 days before Christmas, and what began as a normal Saturday night takeaway for Stephen Jenkinson ended in a vicious roadside attack. The 36-year-old had ordered a pizza, which arrived at the wrong location. A brief argument with the delivery girl then ensued before she chewed off his thumb like a savage. Well, Jennifer Rocher has now pleaded guilty to causing grievous bodily harm and could face jail when sentenced in May. What makes matters worse, though, is that she was not actually employed by Deliveroo, but had been working as a substitute rider using someone else's account. Stephen, meanwhile, well, life has never been the same since. He joins me now. Stephen, thank you very, very much. What happened?
Well, so I'd just gone back to work after paternity leave, having my daughter, and I said to my ex-partner, you know, should we order some food? As you do, you know, there's no food in the house, you've got a brand new baby. And so she ordered a pizza on Deliveroo. I went through the process of, ordering the food, waited for the driver to come. As most know, on a Deliveroo app, it sends you a notification to say the rider has arrived. So I went to the front door, opened the front door, no one was there. Went back to Jessica, I said, there's no one there. Can you just send her a message and find out where she is? So she sent her a message, instantly replied saying, at location of PIN. So I walked back to the front door, opened the front door, nobody there. Went back inside, I said, she's not there. Can I just see on the phone where she actually is? Now, there was a PIN on the app that was about 50 metres up the road. So I made the decision to just go and get the food. Yeah. So, as you would, it's 7:30 on a cold December night. You just want to eat, you don't want to go to bed. Walked up the road. As I got there, she was standing off her bike. I said to her, I'm from that house, can I have the food, please? And she just launched an attack on me. And as she started to swing punches for me, I just put my arm out like that to keep her at a distance, because the only thought that went through my head at the time was, this is a girl, you're a guy. If you hit her or try and do anything in any way, you're going to get in a lot more trouble than she is. So I kept putting myself at a distance from her, saying, I'm going to call the police, I'm going to call the police. It's just unfortunate, as I went like that the last time that I did it, my hand hit her helmet. My thumb went through the visor on the helmet, and she just clamped down until she bit it off.
Can we just have a look, if you don't mind? So it's that camera there is opposite you. So that is now your thumb, right?
Yeah, so that's half my big toe. So when I went to the hospital...
Just keep it up for us, is that all right? Sorry,
sure.
As you talk through it. So that is actually a bit of your big toe.
Yeah, so that's the inside of my big toe. So if you look at a big toe, they've now removed the inside of it. So I've just got the outer side of my big toe.
Goodness me. To be honest with you, unless you really know, you can't tell. So it's clearly not ideal. You've lost a bit of your big toe and, you've now got a slightly different thumb. But, so what, did it feel like? Did you realise what she was doing? Because it must have just been one of the most outrageous things you've ever had.
I would say it was in her mouth for a good 45 seconds to a minute. I was there shaking on her helmet to try and get her off for a while.
She's just chewing down on your thumb.
And as she's biting and clamping and clamping and clamping, and all I remember is my hand dropped and my brain said, she's let go. And then I lifted my arm up and sprayed her with blood, because there's an artery in your thumb. So I sprayed her with blood and then realised that half my thumb was missing.
There's different layers to this story. Again, so your life, unfortunately, hasn't been the same since, and not just because of your thumb.
No, absolutely. I've lost everything because of it. I haven't worked. By trade, I'm a plumber and a gas engineer. I haven't worked. Me and my partner have now separated. I don't get to see her or my daughter. It's tough, in terms of debt, because I've been out of work for so long. It's a significant sum of money. And Deliveroo basically saying, it's not our problem.
And this is an important point, because she wasn't a Deliveroo driver, was she?
So she had her husband's account. So she wasn't a registered Deliveroo rider. So Deliveroo obviously didn't know that she was working that night. She thought it was the husband actually doing the jobs.
And this is a big problem, isn't it? Because you know, anyone can turn up at your front door, essentially, including, in your case, at least someone who was willing to bite your thumb off.
Absolutely. And, you know, there are so many different assault cases, sexual assault cases against Deliveroo riders. There was a case recently where a woman was getting stalked by a Deliveroo rider who was a third party again. Now, that all needs to change. You know, the law needs to change, reform needs to happen. We have the technology to be able to do so in terms of Face ID on your phone. You open your phone with your face, you know, in the same way you should be doing that with picking up food, right? So I am Joe Bloggs, I am picking up the food. I am Joe Bloggs, I've been, you know, I've had all the relevant police checks, and I'm the one delivering the food. So you know that that person has gone through such a stringent process just to be able to have that position, to be picking up your food and dropping it off.
And do you think, I mean, do you think that you might be able to go back to work soon as a result? I know it's a very, you know, it's literally a hands-on job, isn't it?
From a physical point, it's tough because, for example, things like buttons, even shoelaces, they're so difficult for me these days. So, you know, the amount of times I've tried to do things with copper pipe, with fittings and everything else, because I don't have a lot of feeling and it is a lot more bulky than my original thumb. It's hard to hold those fittings in place.
And just quickly, sorry to ask you this, but I think why couldn't they just reattach your thumb?
So when she had bitten my thumb off, in the time that my ex-partner got out so she could spit it into her hand, she'd had a good chew on it. She'd sucked all the blood out of it and she'd had a real go on it. So when it got taken to hospital, they said, there's no way that this can go back on. You can see all the bite marks.
Well, look, thank you very much for coming in and for talking to us about it. And hopefully you've highlighted an issue there that gets sorted, certainly when it comes to delivery drivers. And hopefully you get justice as well for what's happened to you. In a statement, Deliveroo said its riders were self-employed, a fact which has been confirmed by UK courts on multiple occasions. They added substitution is and always has been a common feature of self-employment. It's not specific to Deliveroo nor our sector, the Department for Work and Pensions. They also said they couldn't comment on an active case, even though she's pleaded guilty, apparently. They are yet to comment on the general issue of substitution. So, unfortunately for you, at the moment, it looks like you've got a real fight on your hands, Stephen. But thank you very much for coming in. It is much appreciated.